Hello and welcome to the Sage of Tarn Alpha version 0.485, January 2021. So to follow up on last time, where we did a lot of work on putting shaders on the foregrounds and backgrounds, this time around I was supposed to work on moving the tiles of those foregrounds and backgrounds around so that they wouldn't do stuff like this, where we can sort of see the wrong side of things. Now, the reason I have not gotten around to work on that is because in the beginning of the year, I immediately ran into the same problem that I've been having, or that I had like 3 or 4 months ago, where a sudden lag whenever you dashed like this occurred in the game. And since I already knew what that was, which was basically the old engine being incompatible with a new version of Windows, I decided that it was time to switch engine. So technically speaking, we are now playing the exact same game, but in Gamemaker, instead of in Gamemaker Studio Pro, we are in Gamemaker 2. I have purchased the new engine just simply to get rid of that issue, which is a bit unfortunate because a lot of the things that I would expect to having been fixed in this engine is still somehow an issue, and that has left me a little bit annoyed. But besides that, it's actually been pretty smooth. It could have been a lot worse, converting the whole project over to, let's say, something that is not Gamemaker related at all. So, basically what I've been working on is making sure that the game functions as it did just in the previous video to this one. So you'll probably not see any real differences other than the backgrounds here being in a little bit of a different position. You'll see that the houses are lower than they should be. Now they're too low, basically, because I moved them around a bit. I've had to create new tile layers, which is how it functions in this engine compared to the old one. And actually, let's just go through it. So, for compatibility things that I've been working on, removing some of the old functions and outdated functions from various scripts all around. This is basically whenever it pops up, I remove it or turn it into whatever the new name for the function is, because they've kept most of the same functionalities, apart from a few UI elements in their room editor, which I could go into detail about. However, I've also refitted the new tile system, the one that we made just before, aka this one, to basically fit the new system. So instead of using, when I converted it over, it used like what is called asset layers for Gamemaker 2, which does not provide me with all the tile layer functions that are on tile layers. So I've created new tile layers, and what you're seeing here is technically a separate version of the new tile layers. That's also why I won't be moving around too much. As you can see, there are sections here or there that are missing, because these are just the test versions to see where things should actually be. And I'm going to move these around and then rebuild everything else up after that. That's going to be the next thing. And of course, yeah, the new set of tiles. As well as the random adjustments have been to the chunk makers and the anchors for the game, the things that are creating the ground we stand on. Because these also had like issues with functions being used incorrectly, as well as needed to be changed ever so slightly just to accommodate the new stuff. In terms of bugs, obviously we have the colossal compatibility problem that caused us to switch engine, which I could go into detail with, but frankly speaking I still don't really know what it is. I can only assume that it is because the Gamemaker Pro is not updated to Windows 10 and the newest versions of it, which would make sense considering they stopped. Oh, there's a little bug there. Speaking of, you can see his feet are behind the ground. It should not be there. I've been working a lot on depth systems because they've changed the depth system somehow, and the new system for it is not much better. It's basically the same thing, except it does things randomly and automatically now that it should not do clearly. Such as not placing my unit in the correct depth, I can see on this particular piece. Should tell me that this anchor might be a little bit busted. Basically, you can see it over here, right? His, I don't know if you could see the mouse, but look at his hands and his feet that are touching the ground. They're sticking in over, as they should be, so we can see them. And over here, oh, they're gone. They're put on the wrong side, just behind the ground. Sort of digging his hand into is not what he's supposed to be doing. Anyways, I should write that on as an additional thing. As another alteration, you'll see the back here, the black background. I have cut out the final layer, See if we can see it. It should be the dark purple one. Let's change it a little bit if we can. Oh, they're very dark, all of these colors. Come on, give me something good. Wow, it really just wants green. We're not getting a lot of variety. Oh, there we had some. But yeah, these in the back. I've cut out the background. I need to make a layer there that is the final color. Right now it's just pure black and it doesn't change. But as I mentioned in the previous video, the final layer that I have is now no longer cheesing the background as it was before. Because since we have the colors on, it would kind of look weird that those two layers, aka this one and the darkness, would be the same. Or switch to the same color at least. Additionally, I found a small bug with these guys. When he spawns in right there, he's technically still falling. So when the small one moves, he just teleports far down below. Very easy to fix, I'm pretty sure. It's basically just that he's not switching to the correct state whenever he hits him, whenever he falls in them. So that should be fairly straightforward to solve. On top of this, we just have the previous bugs that are still pending. And that's pretty much about it for this time around. It's not too much to show off, because basically it's just as it was, just in the new engine. Which is, you know, a fair bit of work anyways, but you won't really be able to see it. At least not yet. It's a pretty good update, to be honest, so far, because I took the first week of January off too. So it's been like 3 weeks for the conversion of the whole project without any major issues. I can't complain about that at all. That could have been a lot worse. We only have like small issues like this, where his foot is a little visible. What the? That is weird. Yeah, there's definitely something that's not supposed to happen there. I'm pretty sure I know what exactly as well. Also, stuff like this, where we sort of hide a little bit. You can see the bottom foreground, the spikes are pretty decent, but the secondary one here definitely needs to be moved down a bit. As well as the houses being too low now. Oh, just the peak of the background. I also need to try and... yeah, with the next step of trying to make the tiles more interesting, I think it will also be good to... Wait, that was what I meant to say. That if we work on putting the colors on the ground layer here, of course, but also making the tiles maybe slightly more detailed. I'm not sure if I should do it, because having these be very... effectively speaking, they're very blank, but the moment you have multiple of them and they color themselves differently, you kind of don't need them to have all that much detail either. So I'm a little bit debating on how to spice up the tiles so they become a little more interesting, but also not wanting to do it too much out of fear that they will draw too much attention, which they still should not do. Obviously we still have the compatibility with this as well, so we can see everything in clear view, but it kind of helps hide all the problems having the cave shader on at the moment. So I mean, it's mostly the hard cuts on the sides here, where there are just no tiles put in yet, which show it off, right? But yeah, that's basically it. So thank you for watching, and hope you'll check it out next time, where I will hopefully have a little bit more to show. But just know that there's a lot of stuff happening in the background as well. And take care.